Movement of goods through the supply chain to the end consumer relies on transport. Whilst the mode may vary, sea, coastal or river barge, rail or road, the reliance on fuel remains. Between January 2005 and August 2008, the fuel surcharge applied to transport charges in Australia increased by 350%. Similar increases during this time impacted air, sea and road transport internationally. This drove significant additional cost back through businesses and focused attention on understanding cost drivers. In the Australian market, new legislation demanded separate attention. Heavy vehicle driver fatigue reform was implemented on the 29th of September 2008. This is additional to chain of responsibility legislation. Consignors and consignees have a legal responsibility under this legislation. Any transport contracts or demands placed on supply chain partners cannot be contrary to these laws. Whilst legislation is beyond our control, we need to understand our responsibility and the impact on transport costs. Whilst this can be complicated and detailed, there are some basics that you can manage and control. In understanding your transport needs, you must know your freight profile to control the costs. What is your outbound transport cost as a percentage of sales? What is your transport cost per order? Do you sit at a disadvantage or advantage to your peers in the same industry sector or supply chain type? These all seem rather daunting questions. However, the simplest place to start is in knowing your freight volume, its seasonality, or peak demand times, and any special requirements. Special requirements can include co-loading constraints, temperature control, hazardous and flammable goods, just to name a few. Potential transport providers will need to know this detail to provide you with valid cost of service information. The appearance of lowest transport cost can be achieved by dividing the business amongst multiple regional specialists, taking a cherry-picking approach. But beware the chase for cheapest cost by route when it comes at the expense of service. Increasing the number of transport providers increases the number of contacts within your business, from operations, warehouse and dispatch, right through to accounts. In reviewing transport needs for our customers, we use a 30-point checklist. Some tips for you from this checklist are: understand the basis of the quote. Has the transport provider quoted in cubic metres, kilograms, pallets or spaces? They're all different. Where a full vehicle load is stated, is this for 22 spaces, which is a standard semi-trailer, or is there a further rate for 34 spaces, which would be a B-double? A B-double is a regular semi-trailer with an additional trailer. It takes the vehicle length from 19.5 metres to 25 metres. Where shipping containers are utilised, does the full container rate apply to a simple 20-foot container? Have you been provided with rates for 40-foot containers or for 40-foot high cube containers? This should be clearly explained on your quote. Your prospective service partner should be prepared to discuss and confirm this with you. Tip 2. Avoid nasty surprises by knowing difficult delivery spots. Some of your key customers may be outside of metropolitan delivery areas. They may also be off the regular line haul or trunking routes, requiring stock to effectively double back on itself. Some facilities schedule and expect deliveries 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Facility design elements, for example, finger docks, dock levelers, or the reverse extreme where there are no docks or ramps at all, can constrain the type of equipment that can be used to complete your deliveries. All of these factors can adversely impact cost. Tip 3. Understand the fuel surcharge. Note that it will differ between carriers and modes of transport. Ask for documentation supporting the basis of calculation and ask how frequently the fuel surcharge will be reviewed and revised. Tip 4. Look for alternatives in transport. Where you're using road transport, will delivery lead times allow the use of rail? Are there customer groups where delivery lead times can be renegotiated and cheaper modes of transport utilised? Environmental concerns and escalating fuel costs are focusing attention on transport needs. Understanding your freight profile and the options available will allow you to drive improvement without jeopardising service to your customers.